All right, folks, it's Nick from Rightly Dividing the Word of Truth, back with the third installment of my Doctrine of the Trinity series, with a special emphasis on the angel of the Lord in the Old Testament. And I've seen Radar Apologetics doing some live streams on this very topic. Please go check him out. Please check his content out. It's rich, it's deep, he gets it to the rabbinic sources. Very, very learned man, very insightful studies on this very topic. My videos are just short, quick, straight to the point. They're intended for easy digestion. If you want to go deeper into these things, please check out Radar Apologetics. All right, having said that, in the first video, we looked at Genesis chapter 16, where the angel of the Lord appears to Hagar. In the second video, we looked at Genesis chapter 22 with the binding of Isaac, where the angel of the Lord appears to Abraham and Isaac. And in today's installment, we're going to look at a very short passage, Exodus chapter 3, verses 1 through 6. Let's get right into it. So it starts off and it says, "Now Moses was keeping the flock of his father-in-law Jethro, the priest of Midian, and he led his flock to the west side of the wilderness and came to Horeb, the mountain of God. And the angel of the Lord appeared to him in a flame of fire out of the midst of a bush. He looked, and behold, and the bush was burning, yet it was not consumed." So notice right off the bat, it's the angel of the Lord who appeared to Moses in the burning bush. The angel appears. What does Moses do? He looks. So we have appearance and we have Moses taking it in, right? He looks at the angel of the Lord who is in the midst of the burning bush. And Moses said, "I will turn again to see the great sight." So again, Moses is going to see the sight. Why the bush is not burned? Because it's not a great spectacle for a bush to be burning in the wilderness. It's the desert. It's arid. Plants dry up. Things catch on fire. What the spectacle was the fact that the bush was not consumed. But now when the Lord saw that he turned aside to see, God called to him out of the bush. So it's the angel of the Lord who was in the burning bush, and now God calls to Moses out of the bush. "Moses, Moses," he said. "Here I am." This calls us back to Genesis chapter 22 and verse 11, where the angel of the Lord calls to Abraham from out of heaven, and he says, "Abraham, Abraham." And Abraham responds by saying, "Here I am." Now, is this intentional on Moses' part when he's writing the Torah? Does he want us to think back to that? I don't know. I'm not in Moses' mind. But what I can say is that it makes me think back to it. The angel of the Lord calls to Abraham from heaven, says his name twice, and Abraham responds with, "Here I am." Same thing here. God calls to Moses out of the midst of the bush and says, "Moses, Moses," and Moses says, "Here I am." So here's a little intertextual connection between the angel of the Lord and God. And then he said, "Do not come near, take off your sandals, for the place on which you are standing is holy ground." And he said, "I am the God of your father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob." And Moses hid his face, for he was afraid to look at God. All right, so let's make a few observations. Observation number one, the angel of the Lord appears to Moses in a flame of fire out of the bush. He's in the midst of the bush. It's very clearly the angel of the Lord who appears. And what happens? Well, Moses looked. Moses looked and he turned aside to see the sight. The angel appears, Moses looks and he sees. Observation number three, God calls to Moses from out of the bush. So already we're seeing the shift. The angel of the Lord is in the bush, and now God speaks from the bush. So observation number four, God identifies himself to Moses as the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. Again, this is the angel of the Lord who's in the midst of the bush. The angel of the Lord who's being identified as God. The angel of the Lord who is now speaking to Moses. And the angel of the Lord says to him, "I'm the God of your father, and I'm the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob." So the angel of the Lord is claiming to be the God of the patriarchs. Observation number five, after the angel of the Lord identifies himself as God, Moses becomes afraid to continue looking. He's been looking the whole time. He saw, he beheld He looked. He went to get another look. He's speaking directly with the angel of the Lord, and as soon as he identifies himself as God, now Moses hides his face because he's afraid to look at God. So what's the conclusion? Well, the angel of the Lord is equated with God in this story. Clearly, plainly. On the most surface reading, that's what we get. But what else happens? God is once again seen in this story. This is just like Genesis chapter 16, where God appears to Hagar, and Hagar says, I've seen God. And she calls the place where she was at Bir Lahai Roi. She's saying, for God is a God of seeing. Then what do we get from that? Well, nobody can see God, the Bible tells us. Nobody can see God. Exodus 33 and 20, John 1 and 18, 1 John 4 and 12 all say that God cannot be seen, or God has not been seen, or has never been seen. We referenced this in our first video in the series. And we also referenced the law of non-contradiction, which says that something can't be both true and not true at the same time and in the same sense. So how do we make heads or tails of this? Once again, John 1 and 18 has the answer for us. This is how we avoid contradiction. And it says, no one has seen God at any time. The only begotten God who is in the bosom of the Father, he has explained him. But suffice it to say, no one has ever seen God. No one has seen God at any time. So who's the God who has not been seen? There has to be a God that has not been seen, because then it immediately goes on to say that the only begotten God who is in the bosom of the Father, he is the one who explains him. So the God who's not been seen is the Father. But the only begotten God who is in the Father's bosom, he has explained him. So once more, the Father has not been seen. The Father who is God has not been seen, and yet God has been seen. Who have people seen when they see God? Well, they see this only begotten God, or if you like the majority text, the only begotten Son. That's who's seen. That's who explains the Father. That's who the angel of the Lord is. And we're going to do another video where we show that the angel of the Lord is identified as the Son in the New Testament. But that's going to do it for this video. In the next installment, we're going to look at Judges chapter 2, verses 1 through 5. And again, it's going to be a short video just showing what's clearly there for all to see. If you're looking for something more in-depth, more scholarly, more intertwined with the writings of the rabbinic sages, go check out Radar Apologetics. Again, I cannot recommend his stuff highly enough. It's very enlightening. It's good for a deep dive. You will benefit greatly from it. But with that said, I thank you for watching this video. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. Hit the bell to get notifications for when I drop these videos. Click on the like button. It helps the algorithm out, whatever that means. I guess it makes it easier for other people to see these videos, and YouTube will push it. And I'll catch you in the next one. God bless.